How does a data center hosting and business continuity services firms grow in a small congested market? So, how does a data center hosting and business continuity firm grow in a small congested market? That's a great question. And I actually see this situation firsthand with companies that I consult with several times a year. Most often, in co-location or hosting. And the reality is for a single location co-location business to be successful in today's marketplace with today's cost and capital structure, the reality is most of them have morphed into hybrid business models at some point, or they've just figured out scale. So a lot of companies originally got into co-location because they were web hosts 5, 10, 15 years ago. The web hosting business got severely commoditized well over 10 years ago, where you started to see the big players in the space all be billion-dollar companies. So if you weren't at least executing at the scale in the 8 or 9 figures, like I don't know where you find the nooks and crannies anymore, except getting incredibly deeply niched. Co-location is approaching that today just because there's so much saturation in so many markets. But the reality is, at the same time, you see all of the larger players and all the smaller players running up against power grid capacity issues. So the reality is, if you're truly self-aware about what your company does and where you have strategic, where you have big strengths and where you have weaknesses, a basic SWOT analysis, right? Then you're in a much better position to figure out what to do with growing the actual business. The hosting part, when you say small, congested market, the reality is most co-location and hosting companies that I talk to have to have a minimum of 2 different go-to-market strategies. They have a go-to-market strategy for local clients where they can cost effectively have face-to-face contact. And if that's the case, if you have a facility with like a nice conference room or break room or reception area where you can bring in 10, 20, 30 people at a time, 5, 6, 8, 10 times a year, then by all means, host user group meetings, host meetups, invite managed service providers, invite clusters of potential clients that all have things in common with each other, like, I don't know, CFOs of manufacturing companies or CTOs of media communications. Wherever you can win best, you can do face to face relatively inexpensively if all you're really looking to do is get the right people and bring them to a breakfast seminar or lunch and learn or something like that. For sure, if you haven't been doing that, you should start doing that like yesterday. And then there's a whole separate plan, usually for the single co-location or the single location hosting business continuity company, where they're marketing nationally and globally. And this is where search engine optimization, search engine marketing, LinkedIn organic, LinkedIn paid, outbound LinkedIn using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that's a very different playbook than focusing on just local field marketing, local field events. It's a whole different kind of competency. And there could be some overlap between the two, because let's say, for example, that you're holding a lunch and learn in your conference room that has a capacity of 20 people, and you decide to make it interesting to partner with the account rep for one of the telecommunications company that come into your meet me room, or you decide to partner with a local CPA firm that does a lot of cybersecurity work or compliance work or something like that. So you have a partner, you're each responsible for filling up about half of the room. And in the course of doing that, you talk for 15, 20 minutes about something that's top of mind that you know your audience cares about. Your marketing partner also provides great editorial content for 15, 20 minutes. You both answer questions. You have some networking time before, you have some networking time after. You bring people around to do tours in your facility, whatever works best for you. So in the course of doing that, there's no reason why you can't record that 15, 20 minute session and that 15 and your partner's 15, 20 minute session and repurpose and repackage that into webinars and into videos on your YouTube channel, and repurpose from video to audio and audio to image-based content and text-based content. But that's where the extent of the overlap ends, because the reality is it's a different ideal client profile. It's a different go-to-market playbook. It's different buyer personas. But the reality is, for single location in a small congested market, when you say small, I'm thinking it's probably a second tier market, not one of the primary markets. And when you say congested, that probably means that there's crazy amounts of competition. What the crazy amounts of competition means is you have to work harder to figure out your true point of differentiation. And when I ask for differentiation, everyone always gives the stock answers like, oh, we're better, we're faster, we're cheaper. Like, okay, yeah, that would be great 20 years ago. Today, truly standing out means that you're able to differentiate throughout the full buyer's journey, because what that person just mentioned with the better, faster, and cheaper, it's only relevant in the final 17% of the buyer's journey when people are ready for sales contact. And the first 83% of the buyer's journey, where people are doing a crazy amount of research on their own, figuring out all the answers to their biggest goals and questions and challenges, figure out what the solutions are that would help them close the gap on their biggest stressors and challenges, comparing all the different options. Gartner found 83% of a typical journey is over before sales contacts. So it's incredibly important for you to figure out a way for your hosting company, business continuity company, to get in early and get in often. And the get in often is really important as well, because in a typical journey for something like hosting and business continuity, there may be 28 touch points between complete stranger and new customer. And if you're just doing one or two things like that, that leaves a lot of vulnerable surface area for other companies in your space to occupy the other 25 or 26 of those touch points between complete stranger and purchase decision. So this isn't a one and done thing. When people come to me like, we want to do some marketing, we want to do some appointment generating, we want to do some lead gen. What part of this is like someone going to the gym who wants to run a marathon and they went 3 times and they're wondering why they're still in crappy shape and can't run a mile. Well, dude, you went 3 times. You're trying to run 26 miles. You see the problem here? So we need to figure out how to get in early and how to get in often with the right people in a differentiated way. So for hosting and business continuity firm in a small congested market, we should define where we've been most successful. From where we've been most successful, like our case studies, we should be able to back into what the ideal client profile looks like. From the ideal client profile, we should be able to generate a target account list. So we figure out exactly how small this market is. Ideal client profile, you got your geographic factors, company size, probably business model, industry, something like that. And then from there, do we have a couple dozen potential companies that we want to build these relationships? Do we have a couple hundred? Do we have a couple thousand? And is there a different ICP? Is there a different ideal client profile and go to market that we need for the local clients versus the national and international clients? And from there, we need to understand what is keeping these folks up at 2:00 in the morning. What are their biggest goals? What are their challenges? What are their stressors? And how can we create amazingly helpful educational resources and events and webinars and offline webinars? So, we talked about the ones in your conference room, right? And in your foyer, your reception area. What do we do to show up as teachers, as trusted advisors, as subject matter experts and thought leaders? So to grow in a small congested market, we really have to fire on all cylinders, but recognize that most of the companies that you're competing with that have decided that they're determined to stay a single location business go wider. They take on a more breadth of services. So maybe they merge or acquire with a managed service provider or a software development firm or a CPA for an accounting firm or something like that, or a cybersecurity specialist firm, because they recognize that more than likely their ideal client profile and your ideal client profile have a heck of a lot in common, maybe pretty close to anywhere from similar to nearly identical. And by being able to get a greater share of wallet, more account control, better unit economics, it opens up a lot more possibilities for growth. It opens up a lot more possibilities for profitability. And that small congested market, we need to be really careful about who we help and what we do for them. So in terms of your data center hosting company, in terms of your business continuity company, deciding how you're going to grow in a small congested market, we need to figure out where you've been successful, where your clients have been successful, how we can get more clients like that. And is there actually room to grow without going significantly wider in the nature of what we do for our clients. But in most cases, when it comes to business continuity, it's very far-fetched that you're going to be able to survive as a single location option. I can't imagine too many scenarios where a sophisticated IT director or CTO is going to come to you and is going to be cool about all their data living in a single location anymore. It just I'm not that hands-on on IT anymore. I did that stuff earlier on in my career, but it seems really, really far-fetched that there actually are IT decision makers anymore who are betting the farm with all of their data in a single location anymore. So at the absolute minimum, you need a second or third location, even if you're just renting space in someone else's co-location facility. But yeah, there's some significant work that needs to be done with your business model, with your go-to-market, with your target audience. Small congested markets are very challenging. And if you want to do this profitably, there's some significant business model issues that you want to address in addition to the go-to-market and sales and marketing issues that come up with a data center hosting with a data center business continuity type of company.